Okay, assalamu alaikum. Okay, so yesterday I did a short video about it was a poster I found that differentiates between um, applied linguistics and linguistics. Um, I feel like what that kind of means is that you kind of start opening a door to understanding the full human being in terms of um, their psychology and stuff. Um, I've never really been fully interested in psychology as a field of study because um, it's hard to label people's personalities top down, if this makes sense. And if you look at what I found today is another kind of difference between table that talks about or differences between like being assertive and aggressive. Um, and I feel I feel like what studying applied linguistics does is maybe it's closer to epigenetics than saying like, yep, this is just how you are, who you are. This is what your language is going to be like forever. So I feel like with this kind of what do you call it? Like learning about um, humans from an applied linguistics lens and then moving into language, it basically what it does is once you're observing what kind of language someone uses, um, then you can basically you're gonna kind of observe their behavior as opposed to observing their mechanical language, right? Like, because that's where applied linguistics is. It's helping with mechanical language. And yeah, so I'm at this kind of phase now where, right, it's time to like talk to humans sort of fully, like in a way that is a bit more holistic than paying attention to their mechanical language. Um, I'm being kind of rigid about this because, like I said, I don't like to control people. I'm not that type of personality. If there was a way to stay in the bubble of applied linguistics forever, I would, because what it does is it kind of keeps you ethical, like with people. It keeps you um, just with the right amount of like social curiosity, um, but leaving any kind of situation or any like talk with anyone, you're leaving to think like, what can I offer this person language, right? Um, I feel like entering psychology full heartedly, like to you know basically become a full adult and like um, basically start having like a parental mind frame and all of this stuff because I feel like it's all the same, like psychology plus parenting plus being social. Like you're kind of working your way up to become your best self and all of this talk, right? But for me, I don't know. There's always going to be that anchor of applied linguistics. It needs to stay there for me. Like it's where I stem out. of. Like that's where I stem from. So, so I'm not talking about things that I don't know. Um, and also like I was watching a video this morning. This YouTube has some stuff that needs to go, but there's stuff that's like it can help you think about something. And I watched a video that you know categorizes humans into, or I think it was males or something, like categorizes them into their leadership level or style or something like that. And I'm just like, that can't be all the humans in the world. Like, you can't really. And I think that's one of my major issues with psychology is like the categorization of people. Um, and I feel like that had to happen um, when people migrated, like left their original hometowns, whatever that is, and you move to an area where people need to manage you, and so they'll try to put you into some personality type. So for me, like I don't want to go full heartedly into this because then I might be molding the other person and fitting them into, like noticing patterns of their behavior and language and saying, okay, so we're gonna, stick you into this category, and this is how we're going to deal with you. Whereas epigenetics, I think, says that, in order for someone to develop, they can develop in any way, right? Like, I don't know, like I feel like you can learn anything. You can learn anything. You can unlearn anything, right? All it is just like being in the right environment for it, whether it's a physical change or a, personality change or whatever. Okay, so yeah, so coming back to this graph here, I'd say like this is where like studying about language as opposed to applied language would take you. Like it will, you know, you're gonna look at these behaviors, for example, assertive and aggressive, and then see the language that's associated with these behaviors. This makes sense. So you have, for example, for being assertive, it says being self assured and confident about your opinions, respecting others, um, confident enough to show opinions. So that's column number three, and number one would be a little different because the first one is being confident with your own opinion, like just having it. And then for the third one, it would be probably like to be confident about sharing it. And then it says having a confident and self assured attitude about yourself. And then I don't know what that last column means. There is a positive outcomes. Okay, sentence is not grammatically correct, but I don't know what it means. Um, so I don't know if like we can summarize what it means to be assertive. Sounds like positive, like interaction with people. Um, and uh, basically this kind of language, like you'll be able to listen to this person talk, right? And you wouldn't feel like you need to leave, right? Like, because they're confident, they're self assured, they're respectful, right? And they're like they basically talking to you normally, right? Like normal human respectful ways. in normal human respectful ways. And then for aggressive, let's look at that aggressive because that was my interest this morning. So aggressive, we have overestimating one's opinion, being harsh to others by arguing with them, does not respect others, harsh and rude to the opinions of others, um, harsh and rude to the, yeah, and then have a, what's that word? Sorry, Arabic brain kicking in. Hafti. I don't know what that is. Um, and then disregarding or underestimating others, and then there are negative outcomes. Okay, so I see what that last column is saying. Yeah, sorry if my YouTube seems like a place to brainstorm. I haven't clearly monetized it, so I don't feel as bad with the material and the sound or sound systems not being super. Um, so then, yeah. So with this, you know, these things like when you work with younger people and you teach manners or behaviors or you try to model behavior and try to be closer to the first column, like confident, respectful, assured, things like that, um, as opposed to being um, too opinionated, harsh, argumentative, don't respect people, like, these things. Like, I don't know, like, this stuff is like, it's common sense, right? It's common sense, but the thing is, with younger people, they don't have enough awareness. Like, they don't have enough awareness, they don't have enough vocabulary, they don't have enough stuff to guide them as you talk about um, like good manners and good behaviors and things like that. Um, so for a younger person, like the only way to continue being assertive and stuff would probably need some monitoring. Like it's like you can't say, for example, to a teenager, um, why do you have such bad aggressive behavior? Do you have so much why do you have why are you too opinionated? Why are you harsh? Why don't you respect others? Why are you rude? Like why do you disregard people? Like you can't say that you can't ask a teenager these questions and judge them if they did not have like if they didn't have people to help them continue being assertive and stuff. Like this stuff really needs cultivation. Otherwise, I think if you like for younger kids and teenagers, like if they get sick, um, like physically or like emotionally or something, these things may lead to aggression, right? So, like, I feel like some adults they don't know how to approach these things. And this affects like applied linguists. It affects our job because if you directly observe like a younger person's language and you see things they need to work on, I I get so annoyed when I see their caregivers, you know, acting or behaving weirdly, but they still weirdly is that even a word? It like behaving in a way that is causing the language issues, right? And so, like the team that you can have in order to like um, help a kid with their language, your team, that's a difficult team to put together. I'm hoping I can have one, but it's hard to put together. The synergy is like it's so it's not easy to find, right? Like, and it's not to say that oh people don't have proper observation skills. No, it's for someone to understand what the applied linguist does and for the applied linguist to be able to communicate to the language expert, right? Like the linguistic expert or the holistic expert or psychological psychological expertise. Like I don't even know how to pronounce all of these things sometimes, and it's like it's such an intricate like team, like right, like parents and caregivers and some parts of the world like nannies and there's so much like there's a lot going on um in a young person's life. um and I think sometimes you get stressed as like an applied linguist person because it's like, oh, why is your stuff not working for my kid or for my teenager or whatever? And it's like, well, like the material is the material, right? Like what I like about like material applied linguistic stuff and exercises and stuff that you give. Um, what I like about it is it's generic, right? Like it's generic. It's sometimes it has to do with like just spelling and comprehension and stuff like that. So um, it's not very invasive psychologically. Like you're not really talking deep stuff, right? You're talking deep mechanical stuff, but you're not deliberately giving the learner um or the patient, if someone's working in a clinical setting, you're not giving them something, you know, subtly subliminal, like, psychological messages. No, it's like I said, it's mechanical. Okay, I'm going around in circles now, but basically, so we see aggressive, for example. Oh, this is such a bad trait, or this is such a bad behavior to have. But you have these behaviors because um they haven't been extracted, like there hasn't been intervention with it and stuff like that. So how's it gonna come out, right? um Now, assertive and aggressive behaviors in adults. Okay, I don't want to talk too much about this in the video soon, but oh gosh, like this stuff with adults is not the easiest thing to deal with, right? Especially when I'm being rigidly like, okay, just come to me for language and linguistics issues, you know? But, if an adult has aggressive things, like aggressive traits and whatever things like that come out from them, um, and for you, you're looking at, you know, wanting to tap into their linguistic stuff, that team is just that team is not it's not as doable as having to work with a child or a teenager because you at the end of the day, like there's more control towards the young learner, you know, up until their teenage years. But once they hit like adulthood and stuff and the behaviors solidify, um you're gonna have to try to find a team that will basically work with like this behavior as opposed to eradicating it, like they'll just want to work with it and like want to maybe just find little like what do you call it? Like just little things that you can do to like reduce the aggressive results or what it says here, like outcomes, right? But you can't fully, you really can't fully change an adult. Like this, I feel like you can mold around with a young learner to a certain degree and hopefully as ethically as possible. But with an adult, if they don't want to change, trust me, the entire world can come together to form a team and it's not going to work, you know. And for me now, because like I'm an adult now, I hope, you know, I'm an adult. And so I can sometimes notice and yeah, I can notice when another adult is trying to manipulate me and not manipulate, not the bad manipulation, but just like wanting to change. Yeah, like wanting to change my mind about something. So I think for an adult, like we like to just be spoken to like directly and for the other adult to say, this is what I want for you to do. This is the behavior I don't like, for example, things like that. Yeah. You don't really like beating around the bush and, going around in circles and isn't that. um, so yeah, so let's leave this video here. I hope you kind of see like the connection between this one and the one before. If not, it's okay because I'm just, as I said, I'm still figuring out what I want to do with YouTube. Um, but yeah, applied linguistics, guys, like really, it's a really cool like field. Trust me, get into it. um, Now I was going to say, I feel like at this time, like with this stuff going on, like pandemic and all of the stuff, um, you might be in like a kind of like you might be in some kind of work that has really been impacted and you really don't know what to do with your career or your time or this and that. Um, so, you know, that's why I'm saying like applied linguistics is it's you get literate enough in like what's going on in the medical world. Um, and so I don't know, I feel like, you know, people who work in this kind of field, like, um, I don't feel like we are like extremely like triggered by um, pandemics because, all right, there's something we need to do, right? Like, there's something we need to do in our immediate community. There's something we need to do with our clients and this and that. So you have a little bit of like you have some procedure um, in what to do. And like I'm gonna try to end this video soon. And like people who are like medical doctors, like I feel like when I was younger, I thought that you're either a doctor or not a doctor. Like like I had a very rigid idea of what a doctor is, and I'm like, you're either a physician or you're nothing. But I think what applied linguistics did is like, okay, wow, there's a spectrum of what you can do in the medical life, right? Like you can you can yeah, you can be around a physician like and you might actually have a lot more skills in dealing with different things in a medical environment that the actual physician doesn't know. And this is important to know because, you know, there are physicians who are really good at their job. Again, like it's mechanically, they're good at their job, but a lot of them don't know, they lack other skills, like they'll lack social skills or, you know, appropriate skills and stuff like that. And I feel like, no, you don't, you should not get away with this all the time. Like, yes, a community is going to appreciate you because of all the stuff that you do for them, but um, not long term. Like, if you work with someone who is aggressive all the time, that needs to be addressed. Like, that can't be something like that's not something to get away with for too long for an adult. All right, and this is it. And that's it.